Whatever, let the coach f his player. I don't care. That's so bad. Ooh, okay. My favorite topic. Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Maddie. I am so ready for this video. So far in 2023, I've tried multiple new genres. I've tried some historical fiction, I've tried some cozy murder mystery, but you know what gets me every single time and what I keep resorting back to is smut. Or just romance books in general. This is a part 2 to this video right here that I filmed back in December of 2022. So now I think I'm going to do quarterly updates on my favorite smutty books that I've read. And maybe I'll make this a trend with other books that I've read too, not just smut, but this one is regarding all of the spice, all of the spicy things. In this video, I do have something for everyone. So I've got some cutesy smut, I've got some reverse harem, some deep, dark, emotional. I've got it all, but we're only talking about 5 books. The first book that we are going to talk about is Psycho Shifters by Jasmine Moss. I do want to show the Goodreads statistics on each book. So this book is 4.02 stars out of 5 stars with 14.5 thousand ratings. Just so you guys know, this is part of a series. It is 3 books with a spin-off currently, and I'm pretty sure that there might be more spin-offs, but this is just a trilogy that I'm going to be talking about. I rated this book 4 out of 5 stars. A quick synopsis, this book is about a human girl named Sadie. Sadie was captured at a very young age by this mean man and has been abused by him and kind of treated like a slave in her world. Now this isn't the human world, there are multiple worlds that they all kind of jump through, but in the current world that she lives in, you are tested with your blood at a certain age to see what kind of shifter or beta, are you an alpha, are you omega? She does end up being forced to go to this training facility, this elite training facility with multiple other shifters. And it goes from there. Now let's get to the tropes. This is reverse harem. So it's Sadie with multiple men. Now I know I'm starting off strong. A lot of people don't like reverse harem. A lot of people don't like this kind of trope. And I am a monogamous girl. I am married. I've been with Brock for 6 years. I am not, by any means in my real life, attracted to multiple men at a time. That's not how my life goes. But I'm not shaming it, and reading about it is very different than following it in real life. So I read about it and I soak it up. I love it. I would never do it myself, but it is so entertaining and fun and sexy to read about. It is slow burn, so I do want to preface the first book has barely any smut in it. That's why I kind of wanted to preface this series as a whole. Books 2 and 3, they get spicier and spicier. It's also a bully romance. It's a really strong female main character. It's Omega verse. There's a crap ton of possessiveness. My thoughts, the first book isn't that spicy, but the books do get spicier as they go. But in the first book, there is a lot of tension. I do really like the slowness of this series with the romance aspect. Now, the series as a whole, the plot is very chaotic, a lot goes on. So I'm not saying this is a slow-paced book. It's very fast-paced, but the romance is kind of slow. The first book definitely revolves around the characters. You're kind of learning who is who, and you're also kind of learning the world itself. And Sadie, the main character, has very modern humor. What I mean by that is there's a lot of phrases that you actually will see on social media like TikTok or Instagram these days. So I didn't love that aspect of it. I thought her humor could be a little childish and a little cringy. But I laughed out loud so much at her internal dialogue and her self-deprecating humor. Like I mentioned before, it's reverse harem, so there are 3 to 4, I don't want to spoil anything, men involved. They all have different likes and dislikes towards Sadie. So you'll actually find like one male provides that protection sense to Sadie, and the next male provides that touch her and you die kind of relationship, or the next one provides a little bit more humor and a little bit more witty and banter, and there's a lot of arguing. Kind of like if you were to put them all together, it'd be like one dude. All of these men have different attributes that would create one man, but you just get them in different men. And they're all very physically different with different body types and skin tones, which I appreciated. Give this one a try. It might not be your cup of tea. It's a little cringy. It's also written not in the best edited way, but it's still a lot of fun. Like, go into the series with an open mind and just have fun with it. Don't think anything too serious about it. And just so you know, it is available on Kindle Unlimited. The next book, we're switching it up big time here. It's literally the complete opposite of Psycho Shifters. And that would be Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey. I love Tessa Bailey. Tessa Bailey gets a lot of crap from what I've seen, but I freaking love her books. This book, these are the statistics from Goodreads, and wow, the statistics from when I've read it. I read this back in February when it came out, and it was at like, 3.9, 4.2, somewhere in that range, like really highly rated. And now it's 3.4, and when I saw that, I was shocked. I loved this book, and usually I don't even read a book if it's below 3.9, like I'm so picky, but when I read it when it came out, I had this very unbiased opinion about it, and when I look at this Goodreads review, or the overall rating, the 3.4 stars, I'm like, did I really like it? And yes, I did. Okay, I don't know what these people are talking about. Let's get into it. I did rate this book 4 out of 5 stars, just so y'all know. Quick synopsis. Hallie and Julian met in high school, yet Julian doesn't really remember meeting Hallie in high school. In the future, many years down the line, after they've kind of had that initial high school interaction, Hallie ends up being Julian's gardener, and it kind of goes from there. He's very infatuated with her, and there's kind of this instant connection between them, and he's like, why does she seem so familiar? And Hallie kind of ends up driving Julian crazy in all of the right ways. Like, he's so confused by her personality and so like taken aback by her extrovertedness and her bubbliness that he just can't handle it, but he wants to handle it. Like he wants to be around her. He just doesn't know how. The tropes in this book, it is small town, dual POV, grumpy sunshine, secret admirer, insta love / insta infatuation. Like, I don't really want to call it love because it's more Julian's POV when he's like so infatuated by her. At first, he's like, wow, he's like enamored by her. And I thought that was really cute. The next trope, I would say there's a big miscommunication trope towards the end, which I don't love, but I kind of breezed over it. I was like, the book is fine, whatever. I'm still so shocked by the 3.4 star overall review, like rating. I'm just confused because it's like when you pick up a book like this, you know it's kind of gonna be cheesy. You know it's not gonna be the best book ever. It's a Hallmark movie in a book. You've got to have an open mind. It's not going to be the best book, but my thoughts on the book. The dirty talk in this book, you guys, Julian has a dirty mouth, like in the best way. And a lot of women, like myself, tend to gravitate towards books where the men are more verbal. That's what we look for. We want verbal men. And Julian, he's extremely verbal. Also, the chemistry so on point between these two because they've kind of had that previous history. It was a quick history, like they didn't date or anything, but because they've had that history, you kind of already see it developing from the first time they meet. You're like, oh, they're definitely meant for each other, and they're so complete opposite personality, but I think that's kind of the best way to go about it in romances like these. Like, you want that complete opposite attraction where they're like, why do we like each other? We're so different, but that's what makes it so good. I loved having Julian's POV only because, I mean, in a lot of books we get male POVs now, but seeing Julian so infatuated and being in that male mind can be very, very attractive and can be a turn on to be like, oh, that's what he's thinking. It's very nice to see that point of view and to kind of get his perspective on her. The one like unique aspect of this book that I actually loved, like I didn't expect to like it as much as I did, is how many scenes there were of self-pleasure or fantasy involved, because Hallie is a virgin and she has a lot of self-pleasure experience, I guess you could say. So you get to see that point of view from her and like her pleasing herself thinking about Julian, and I thought that was a really good aspect to put into a book, because in some romance books you get the masturbation scenes, but you don't get a ton of it. You only see like a brief glimpse, or it's like fade to black. No, you get it, and you get to see what she's trying to imagine. You get to visualize that fantasy with her, which I thought was so unique for a book. And same with Julian, you get multiple masturbation scenes with him, and I thought that was really, really nice to include. Like I didn't realize I would like it in a book, and I actually did. So we are switching pace again. I am doing a fantasy romance. This one's been popping off on Book Talk and Instagram for a while now. It is The Serpent in the Wings of Night by Carissa Broadbent. And man, I'm surprised I remembered that title. I'm reading the second book right now and I cannot remember the second book's title for the life of me, so don't ask. Here are the statistics for this book. It is very highly rated with a lot of ratings for a Kindle Unlimited indie author book. This is a series. I've read the first book and the 1.5, and again I'm in the middle of the second book right now, and I'm like 200 pages into the second book, and I just want to be honest, there's been no smut so far in the second book, but it is a 600-page book, so I'm expecting a lot more later. I did rate this book 5 out of 5 stars. A quick synopsis, because this book has a lot of detail that I don't really want to get into. Fantasy is kind of hard to put into a quick synopsis, so I'm gonna be really quick, okay? The main character, her name is Oraya, or Oraya. Oraya enters herself into this competition against vampires. It's important to note that Oraya is human. She's human, but she was raised by a vampire. Not just any vampire, she was raised by the king of all vampires. He's more of a father figure to her. So there is Vincent, the king of all vampires. Then there is Oraya, who is kind of like his daughter in this book. She's basically been trained her whole life to stay alive because she is human living amongst vampires. Like the only thing she is to them is food. So she enters into this competition, goes through it. She's literally been trained her whole life to just stay alive, so she's pretty good at this competition. It goes from there. She meets a boy. His name is Rain. He's an enemy, but it doesn't matter because in the competition no one's really like anyone. You're just in this competition and you can team up with certain people and whatever. Forget the plot, okay, because that's not what we're here for. Let's get into the tropes. Enemies to lovers, trial/competition, vampires, hidden abilities, strong female character, banter and wittiness, dark atmosphere. I don't know, that's it. And I just want to preface before I say all of my thoughts, this book in general, the plot is just chef's kiss. Now, if you have that Sarah J. Maas itch, if you've read Throne of Glass, if you've read Crescent City and ACOTAR and you're wanting more, Carissa Broadbent kind of has that same vibe. That's all I can really say. But the spice, we get a whole lot of sexual tension because they are in this competition. They're kind of locked in this one castle together, and she's like fending for her life because she's literally just a scrawny little human, and then he's like this big bad vampire, and they kind of get locked in a room together at some point. There's a lot of tension going on. Like, I don't know other way to describe that. The tension is there. And honestly, there's really only like 1 to 2 spicy scenes that I could really think of, but because you're waiting for it, because you're just like, come on, finally, like just do it, it's so much better. It's so much better than like having multiple sexy scenes. Like, I'm happy that this was kind of drawn out and then at the end you get it. Like, that's what I really like in a book, is just because you know that it's gonna be so good because you've been waiting the whole book for it. And then the end will just like really mess you up. So I don't want to talk about it anymore, but definitely read this book. I think everyone should read it. The next book is Waking Olivia by Elizabeth O'Rourke. Here are the statistics for this book. I read this. This was the first book that I read in 2023, I think. And I still really can't stop thinking about it. Like, it's just such a good book. Like, everyone who likes romance, or even like a hint of dark romance or some trigger warnings, you're gonna like this one. And I did rate this one 5 out of 5 stars. Let's give a brief synopsis. We have Olivia. She's a track star in college, and she ends up going to a D1 college, gets kicked out due to something that happens, and ends up being demoted to a D3 school and is playing track for them. She has a really bad attitude. She's really not like really good at being like a teammate. She doesn't have that sportsmanship at all. She's a bad attitude about a lot of things due to a lot of trauma that has happened in her life. So she might be a good athlete, but she's kind of a bitch. In comes her new coach. Now, it's only like, it is age gap, but there's like it's like 3 or 4 year age gap. It's not that big of a deal. Ends up meeting her coach. Her coach from the bat hates her. He's like, kick her off the team. Don't like this bitch. She's mean to the whole team. No one likes her. He then finds out like, oh, she's a really good runner, I kind of need her on my team. But why are her feet all bruised up? Why are her feet so bloody? Why is she not running great today? Like, what's up? Why is this happening? So she keeps coming to practice, kind of messed up, kind of really overtired, sleepy. Her feet are ruined. She's got cuts all over her. And it's because Olivia, to cope with past trauma, is a sleep walker, or sleep runner. I know that sounds kind of out there, but it's great. Just wait. Let's talk about the tropes. This is a forbidden romance, a little bit of age gap, coach slash team player. Coach is a team player. Okay, anyway. Sports romance, college romance, triggers. Definitely look up triggers. This one's intense. Enemies to lovers, and unlikable female character that you end up falling in love with. Honestly, any forbidden romance I'm kind of down for. And I don't love age gap. Like, I'd rather the age gap be minimal, kind of like this one is, unless it's fantasy, because we all know those men are like 500 years old. Anyway, I think the spice in this book is absolutely insane because of that forbidden aspect. Like, it's a coach and a player. You don't think that they should be together. The morals aren't there. Like, it's just not adding up. Like, they shouldn't do it. But because of this history and because he's so sweet and wants to help her, you're kind of like, okay, fine. Okay, fine. Whatever. Let the coach fuck his player. I don't care. That's so bad. When the tension is high, the smut is always better. That's the main objective of this video. The smut is always better when they're not allowed to do it. But honestly, like, looking back at this plot, the plot is wild in this one. Like, the sleep running, like, she's not even a sleepwalker, she sleep runs. The trauma that she went through, you guys, is absolutely insane. Like, the brain that Elizabeth O'Rourke has is a messed up one, but I love it. I don't know, you know when you're just reading a romance book and it's like, you're reading it, you're just flipping the page, you're like, yep. And it's just, you're going, right? It's so natural. You just flip the page and you're like, next page, and it's good, right? You're entranced, it's so good. But then looking back, like, I read this 3 months ago and I'm like, holy, what in the fuck was this plot? Like, everything is fine and dandy, and then you're like, oh my god, these characters need copious amounts of therapy. It's a spicy fucking book though, for real. The last book that I'm going to be talking about is a popular one as of recent, so I won't talk too long about it, and I will put the statistics right here. It is Final Offer by Lauren Asher. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. Quick synopsis, you guys know already what this book is about. It's literally everywhere. This is Cal, or Callahan, the third brother in the Dreamland Billionaires series. In order to inherit his inheritance, he has to do one thing that his grandpa tells him, and that requires reuniting with his teenage childhood crush, love, whatever you want to call her, Alana. Tropes, second chance romance, ex-childhood friends to lovers, single mom, mutual pining, small town lake house romance, dual POV, and best of all, groveling. There's a lot of groveling in this. If Lauren Asher knows what to do, she knows how to do groveling. Like, groveling is my favorite. I love it when a male just in general fucks up and they have to, like, beg for forgiveness. It's incredible. Sometimes in my relationship with Brock, I will start drama on purpose. No, just kidding. I try to, and then he's like too good. He's too sweet, and there's just like, it never ends up happening. But I always want there to be groveling. I'm like, you didn't take the trash out. But he did. He always does. So that's the problem, you know? Okay. Because these two have history, it makes the smut so intense. Like, I'm talking, I mean, it's good smut, it's wonderful, but like, when I say the intensity is on a different level, like, these people have been dying to hook up again for years. Like, they missed each other. There was a big falling out. Like, and the first one is just, they're mad. Like, it's like teasing, they're angry, but they're in love with each other, obviously, and there's just so much sexual chemistry, and like, it's just, it blows up, and they do it multiple times. A lot, actually. They do it more than multiple times. They do it a lot in this book, but it's like so good. It is a slow burn too. Like, I'm telling you, it takes a little bit. It actually takes a lot of it for Alana to even give a hint of forgiveness in there. Like, he's groveling the whole book because Alana just doesn't let up. She's stubborn, but that makes the sex really good. They're so horny for each other. it's palpable. Just fuck already. Like, come on, like hurry up. Just get it out of your system and then go back to hating each other. That's how I felt the whole book. But I did tab it. It made me cry. Not the spice scenes. The spice scenes didn't make me cry. This book had a lot of like deep-rooted issues that Callahan kind of had to figure out himself. That's the last book. I think the lesson we've learned in this video is that if there's tension, if there's history, mutual pining of any kind, it'll make the spice way better. Like, I don't care if there's only 1 or 2 spice scenes in it. Like, it could be the best smutty scene I've ever read if there is a build up, if there's a slow burn. And I think my brain is kind of being rewired, because I used to love, I mean, I still do love those quick, fast-paced books. For example, like The Never King. God, I love that book, but it's only spice. Like, that's an erotic book. These books have a little bit more plot to it. They have a little bit more dense character development. Like, there's a lot more going on than just sex. So I think those are the best kind of smut books, but that's just my opinion. These are the 5 top smutty books that I have read in the past 4 months. Thank you guys for watching. Comment down below if you guys have any smutty book recommendations. I'm always taking them. And I want to know your thoughts about the books that I talked about. Like this video. All of my social media links are down below. Goodreads, Instagram, Bookstagram, Amazon wishlist. I think that's it. See you guys in the next video.